I bring so much stuff on this tour, and it's like I'll never learn because I just keep putting stuff, because we have these wardrobe cases that I think it's like my apartment on the road. And so, of course, the one thing I'm always looking for, something like hairspray or like a little powder, I can never find it, so I end up buying more and more of the same stuff. Like I have 20 chapsticks, 20 little things of hairspray, and of course, when I'm looking for it, I can never find it. So when I was in college in Cleveland, I lived in the most noisy dorm possible. It was like, it was so loud every single night. So I finally had to get these earplugs, you know, like you wear for swimming. And ever since I was like 20 years old, I cannot sleep anywhere without earplugs in. So on the bus, I have them. If I don't have them every night, I can't sleep. I can't sleep with them. I'm so conditioned ever since college. Well, sometimes there's internet and sometimes there's not. So when there's not, a lot of times I read, although if the bus is moving I have a little hard time reading, but I try to read in my bunk. After the show every night, we always kind of have a post-mortem of the show that night. And we talk through what worked, what we thought worked, what we thought was good, how we thought you guys were as an audience. You know, you get critique too, not just us. What the theater was like, where we're going next. I always think it's important. It's like playing a game and watching the video the next day of the game and critiquing it. I think it's important to do that so that we always get better and better. We are all on one big bus, all of us. So there's 10 of us on the bus, one big happy family. And I'm really proud of the crew and the talent all kind of getting together, because a lot of times in the concert business, what happens is the crew kind of hangs with the crew and the talent hangs with the talent. It's just kind of always been that way. So we're all together, and we actually genuinely like each other and like spending time together, which is kind of important since we're together 24 hours a day. Well, we travel with a semi-truck and a bus. So when this massive semi-truck pulls up to the theater, I always look at it and think, gosh, that seems like a big truck. That's like 2 moving van sizes of all of our set, all the lighting, everything you see on stage, the piano, the carpets, the candles, everything that you see in our set. Imagine walking into the theater and it's completely just the 4 walls of the theater. Everything you see we bring in the semi-truck. And there's actually a little bit of room left in case anybody wants to send some of their furniture to, if you're moving to another city, we could take some. You know, it's kind of like with the hairspray. I seem to go through earphones and headphones like crazy. And in my bunk at night, I always wear headphones. I got this great pair of headphones from Audio-Technica, who are helping sponsor the tour, that are some of the best I've ever had. But I tend to be a little bit absent-minded. I lose a lot of stuff. So something to do with audio or headphones or stuff like that, I suppose, if it was going to be a material thing. Being on the road really does give me inspiration for songwriting, because every place is different, and so the environment it creates a new theater, a new city, a new environment, the weather. They all contribute to getting inspired by things around you. And so, in fact, today I wrote a brand new song that I probably wouldn't have had that thought or had that idea if I weren't in this particular theater. Today we're in Erie, Pennsylvania. It's funny, you know, creativity hits at random, unusual times. Well, knock on wood, is there wood around here? I've never had a show that I couldn't play because I was to the point where I couldn't physically handle it. But of course I've had the flu and colds on stage. As many of you know, I've had a lot of shoulder and arm problems to the point where one time I barely could walk to the piano, and so they put the curtain down, and then when the show started I was already sitting at the piano and the curtain went up and I was already there because I couldn't walk to the piano, which I hope is not shades of things to come. But I've never missed a show for a physical ailment or reason, and I hope to never have that happen. It's definitely a show must go on mentality. Well, sleeping on the bus is something you get used to. I sleep the best when it's the middle of the tour, where I'm conditioned to being on the bus for a while. It's always hard the first night, and it's always hard when you sleep in a real bed after the tour, because you start to get used to the movement and kind of the noise and the rumble of that kind of going down the highway. But I actually sleep pretty well. I try to put myself into kind of as if like I'm camping out, in a tent or something, or like I'm out at camp, like when I was a kid. I try to get in that mentality because we're all together, and so it is. There's a quality about it that reminds me of summer camp. I would say that the crew and all of us are pretty much night owls, because we play until 11 o'clock at night, and then by the time we get out of the theater and back on the bus, it's midnight. And so I would say there is kind of a cooling off, chill out period that we all have to have after being on for so many hours. Sometimes you just need to relax, just like coming home from work. Well, I met Tracy Silverman it's going on about 12 years ago. Tracy was also signed to my first record label that I was on, Windham Hill. He was in this band called the Turtle Island String Quartet. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun to add one more instrument? And I was so taken with his spirit and the way he played that I invited him to play on stage. At this point, he had only had just the acoustic violin. He didn't have the electric yet. So about 2 years we performed together. He just played that old-fashioned one, but he brings so much depth and variety to the show. It's fantastic. I met Ben through a friend of mine who's a conductor for the New York Pops Orchestra, and he said to me, you should come hear this football player who sings. He's going to perform in New York. And I said, seriously? I mean, how good could he be? He's a football player. I did what I think everybody else does, and I judged it before I saw it. And when I heard him sing, I was totally blown away. And he's a charming guy. He's kind and sweet and giving as a performer. He really connects with the audience, which is something I always look for. I want it to be a family affair. I want it to be enjoyable. I want people to have joy when they watch, when they leave, and he does a great job of introducing himself to the audience and connecting. Well, on the road, of course, you're like a family, and like all families, there's occasionally going to be some sibling rivalry, and there's going to be some competition, and somebody's going to be grouchy, and somebody's going to be happy. I mean, you're talking about 10 people who are with each other 24 hours a day, but I think ultimately it goes back to the respect that we have for one another. I think each one of us has a respect for everyone else, for what they do and what they bring to the tour, whether it's the lighting designer, the sound engineer, the person who sells merchandise, the talent on stage. And if the people are just good people at heart, there's not that much friction, sometimes, unless something falls down in the background and you wonder what it is. But, it's like any family. Nothing's perfect, but it is. And this particular tour is as close to perfect as it can be. it's a very joyful thing, and we're all here for the same reason. We're all here to make music and to make people happy and to spread that joy around. And I never want to have anybody on the tour that doesn't want all of that and want to be with us. I have never been to Africa, and so many of my friends do such amazing work in not only with supporting African charities and really helping to spread not only financial aid and help with food and resources for people who don't have it, but also in the arts, amazing programs where a lot of my friends go and do benefit concerts or gather people together who wouldn't maybe ordinarily have an opportunity to do something like sing in a choir, like the African Children's Choir. It's somewhere I would really, really like to go. Well, you know, a lot of people ask me about how to get started if you're a piano player and what advice I would give. And honestly, I really believe that it's all about just being heard, getting out there and doing what you love. It doesn't matter what venue it is. You know, when I was in high school, I would play everywhere. So my parents would want me to play piano in the background at one of their parties for free. I would do it just to get the experience of playing music around people. And no matter what the opportunity is, I never think anybody should wait around to be invited for a big opportunity first. I always think it's just a matter of getting out there and doing what you love to do and sharing what you love to do with other people. Staying fit on the road. Well, being around Benjamin Utak doesn't help the situation because around any pipe is like a chin-up bar for him. You know, he's an athlete, so he's a good role model for me. But it really is kind of hard to stay healthy on the road because you know you don't have access to the stuff that you always have at home. Sometimes it's hard to find fresh vegetables every day or drink enough water and stuff like that. But you know, we try to watch it. I have good influences around me. There's not a lot of bad food eating, except for sometimes late at night when you just gotta have a pizza. But I try hard to get some form of exercise, even if it's walking for half an hour every day, just to get some air and just to move around. It is challenging, but you got to work at it. What do I like to have in the dressing room? Candle, usually vanilla, just to kind of calm it down a little bit. Hot tea, water, and we have these like little small rugs that we take sometimes, just so that it kind of reminds you of the consistency, something that's the same every day. But I don't really have that many, needs in the dressing room. Well, on stage I just drink water. That's what's in the cup. It's actually a coffee cup, but I don't know where it gets. Like a Starbucks cup or something, but water's in it. And for in the morning, usually, half and half. Sometimes I'm into the tea. Certainly in the rest of the day, I'm into tea. I can't drink coffee that has caffeine in the middle of the day, or I just get really wired. So a lot of times it's tea. But in the morning, if I feel like it was kind of not a long sleeping night, sometimes coffee. We got one of those Keurig machines on the bus that has the little thing that you just pop in for coffee. So that's been kind of fun. This year, the big highlight has been the pumpkin spice blend.